Okay, so welcome back. We are going to continue with our series on planets in the third house as the Arudha Lagna. So, if you're not familiar with Vedic astrology, this is what we're talking about. Please do not try and apply what I'm going to tell you to your Western chart. It won't work because Vedic astrology is calculated 24 degrees differently. And today we are going to be talking about what happens when you have Ketu, the south node of the moon, in your third house as your Arudha Lagna. Now, of course, everything I say is going to be true if you have Ketu in the third house. But we are now going to add another layer to it, which is this is when it's what's called the Arudha Lagna. The Arudha Lagna means the mount or the reflection of the ascendant, the rising sign. In Vedic astrology, we use the rising sign as your sign because even though the moon is very important and Western astrology focuses on the sun, for us, what we look at is how you interface with your life, your karmas, and your destiny. And this is seen from the ascendant. The ascendant is called the Lagna. It means it was screwed into place. That's what Lagna means. When you were incarnated, the universe screwed your soul into whatever meat bag you were born with. And the sign that was rising on the eastern horizon put its stamp on you, and that's the filter through which you see your life. That's why you're a specific sign. So we use this as your sign. I'm a Leo rising, so I'm a Leo. It means I see my life from the perspective of Leo. Now my sun will give me an experience, the moon will give me an experience, but this is, my primary experience is how I see my life. Now, everybody has what's called an Arudha Lagna, which means the mount of the rising sign, the mount of the ascendant. So what is a mount? A horse is a mount. What does a horse do? A horse is a vehicle that empowers you on your journey. So if you don't know where your horse is and you got to get across town, and this is in the 1700s, then you're going to have to walk, and you can walk in mud and whatever else, and it's going to be a problem. If you have your horse, you're going to get there a lot more quickly. Same is true with your ascendant. Your ascendant has a mount, and I call it the superpower, because this is your special power that will bring you success. Your Arudha, in my experience, is how the universe shines through you a special gift that people benefit from. It's a special light that when it hits them, it helps them along their way. Now the problem is if you don't know what your reflection is, what your superpower is, then there's people in your life aren't getting the benefit of this special light. If you unconsciously like it and you act that way, so much the better. There are some people that are that way. A lot of people, however, don't know what their Arudha is, and in some cases, like in mine, they are in conflict with it. Problem is when you walk into the room, people see your mount. They see your Arudha Lagna. In this case, if it's Ketu in the third house, they see that, and they want that power to hit them. If you are in conflict with it and you are hiding it or fighting with that part of yourself, then you are blocking off their good luck, which will make them unconsciously resentful against you, and they will seek to block your success. On the other hand, if you let it shine, even if it's technically a bad thing, we'll talk about that, even if it's on paper not a good thing, if you let it shine, it will still bless people, and they will want to bless you and give you money and success as a result of you giving them the gift that comes from you simply being your Arudha. Now the Arudha is very important when it comes to the ego, because if you have an Arudha that you don't understand or you don't like or you don't relate to, then you're going to have to put your self-centered ego aside in order to transmit this energy that blesses people. I know this because this is the case with me. I've really struggled with my Arudha, and even to this day, I still, I don't struggle with it as much. I seek to really empower it, but as it's coming out, I say to myself, I really don't understand why they like that. But they do. The success of my business comes from me projecting what I know to be my Arudha. And I got to tell you, my take is I don't get it. I don't have to get it. It's not about me, it's about you. Same is true for you. You don't have to like it, you don't have to feel it, you don't have to understand it. I'm hammering away at this because Ketu in the third house is technically potentially a negative placement, because Ketu is the ultimate malefic, the ultimate planet that brings death, disease, misery, isolation, misunderstanding, sadness, loneliness. Why? Because Ketu is seeking to take you away, literally rip you away from illusion. And Ketu sees all of incarnated life as illusion. So that means wherever Ketu is placed, he is trying to destroy the illusion. That's a challenge if what you want is to fulfill your desires in this physical realm. Wherever Ketu is associated, if he's associated with a setup that is, conducive for pleasure, he'll try and destroy that. Ketu in the seventh house. You'll be a great listener. People will want to be your partner because you don't have any attachments. But you yourself may very well go, yeah, I'm married and she's wonderful, but it's just, there's something missing. It's because Ketu says, listen, it's an illusion. The only thing that matters is the infinite. And there's, you can only enter the infinite alone. Ketu is the monk. Ketu is the monk who is out in the wilderness in a loincloth and a begging bowl. That's it. He doesn't care about anything. He's just meditating. If Ketu speaks, he wants to speak only the truth. He wants to bring the truth. The most negative aspect of Ketu is suicide bombers. That's when Ketu is in its worst vibration. Somebody who's willing to kill themselves in order to promote a spiritual philosophy. Ketu in his highest awareness seeks nothing for himself. He only seeks to bring the truth. He only wants to connect to things that bring him closer to ultimate truth, ultimate spiritual truth. So what do we do when we have Ketu in the third house? The third house is called an Upachaya house. It gets stronger over time. It's the natural placement for Gemini, which is the expression of Mercury, the outward expression of Mercury, communication, intellectual brilliance, figuring things out, writing. This is Mercury. So this third house is naturally very energetic. So it turns up the volume. Whatever planet gets in there, the volume gets turned up. Because it's like when you walk up to the podium and you tap on the microphone and that's the third house. It's you, it's your podium from which you speak your truth, your essence. So if you have powerful planets in the third house, it could signify writers because the third house is hands. So there's a possibility that this person may have a life-changing touch. Meaning that if this person touches you, it may be that one touch that just completely changes your life. If this is a spiritual teacher, they may have the ability, if they can give you like an energetic transmission. But it will totally shake you out of your world. All of the, you think, I want to see the truth. No, you don't. Trust me, you don't. When you see the truth, that means all of the illusion is taken away and you see all of your illusion. I have to tell you, most of the time when people talk about, I just want to see the truth and I want somebody to take away the veil of this, they still have a lot of attachment toward love. And really what this is that these are people who've been hurt. These are people who've been hurt and perhaps gone through trauma, and what they want is escape from their pain. But they think life is pain, so I want to escape from life. But they really don't want to escape from life. They really want to be loved and accepted and have pleasure. They're just not able or willing to admit it to themselves. So when Ketu comes along and touches them, then it's not fun at all. It can be very, wherever Ketu goes, he's going to destroy your illusion. Destroy your ego, your identity. This is his job. So these people in the third house, seeing as how this is a house of communication, when they only speak the truth, which means that they may not say anything. It could be that their presence, they walk into the room and they're like, words are a waste of time. But their essence, they're committed to just the essence of their being. Or if this is your Arudha, this is how you come across. Now you may not. Your identity might be hooked up in, the ninth house or the fifth house or something else where you see yourself some other way. But when you walk in the room, because your third house Ketu is your Arudha, people go, that's a person who doesn't need to talk. They just, with their presence. It's not like the sun who walks in, Leo, who doesn't need to talk, but he's very, look at me. Ketu says, you don't need to look at me, I don't care, but there's this sort of black hole of truth that goes around the room. So people with this may come across strange to other people. People may have difficulty understanding what they say. What they say might be either so strange or so deep that when it hits people, it's like it may be difficult for them to comprehend it or understand it. There's a potential that if all things are lining up, that this person could be one of those spiritual teachers. They walk into the room and they sit down and they say one word: life is grape juice. And people go, yeah, man, life is grape juice. Wow. That's the kind of, but for some people, life is grape juice. What the hell does grape juice have to do with, what the hell does that mean? This could be, it could be either one of those depending on all the other factors here. And it does depend if there's a conjunct planet in there and planetary aspects, all these things. So if you need to figure that out, you got to go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and find out what your Arudha is, find out where your Ketu is. Now, Ketu sitting in the third house. Ketu has aspects on the 7th, the 9th, and the 11th house, because Rahu and Ketu have the same aspects of Jupiter, because Rahu, Ketu, and Jupiter are the planets of karmic fulfillment, dharma, your spiritual truth. So Ketu is looking at the 7th house of relationships. So when Ketu comes into the 7th house, or when Ketu has a strong aspect on the 7th house or influence over the 7th house, then what ends up happening is that for you, relationships don't really have any fulfillment. Now, it's the opposite of Rahu. Rahu there says, I have to have relationships. And you lust after them, but because it's an addiction, you're never satisfied. It's the opposite. Ketu said, I've had it. I've had all the, I've had the ultimate marriage. I've had the ultimate relationships. I've had the ultimate, interaction with the public. And it was great, but there's something beyond it. So, yeah, I'm happy, So these kind of, when Ketu has a strong influence on the 7th house, it may bring isolation. This person may say, you know what, I don't ever really want to get married. In fact, as I think about it, I know somebody who has this, and after their last marriage, they've said, yeah, I don't want to get married again because I don't want to lose my identity. And as it so happens, he has Ketu in the 7th house. So at some point, these people might be, celibate for the rest of their lives, or they might at some point just go, yeah, just relationships don't really mean a whole heck of a lot. But at the same time, because they've had fulfillment in there, they're excellent partners. Because if they can listen, they don't have an agenda, so they'll listen. They'll be listening. Half the time they're like thinking of something else, but they're listening. And so you think, because we're narcissists, oh my God, he's just such a great listener. He just doesn't have anything to say. He doesn't care. So that's the 7th house. So it brings isolation in terms of relationships and connection to other people on the public level. It also does it on the small scale because the 3rd house is small groups of people. So this means when you're in a small group of people, you really don't. You're a loner. You really don't need to isolate or connect. If you do, the only way that you're going to want to work with a small team of people is if your common goal is for deep spiritual impact. But once you're done with that task, then Ketu says, okay, we're done. I don't need to talk to you anymore. I'm kind of like this when I go to the store, whatever it is. And nowadays, when I was a kid, what would happen is you would go and the person on the other side of the counter would say, "Yes, sir, how can I help you? What can I do for you?" It was completely professional. They didn't need to connect personally. Now when you go, they want to go, "So how's your day going?" And you can tell they've been trained to do that. Somebody has said, try to get them to talk about their day, and they're doing that because people are different now. People are very lonely. People need validation. And so if they can get it, that teller at that store was so great. I'm going to go back to that store. Hey, how was your day? Did you watch the game? I mean, when I go and I'm like getting my groceries and somebody says, "Hey, did you watch the big game?" What I want to say is, look, I'm just here to get my groceries. I wish you all the best. You don't need to pretend to be my friend. I have no interest in your day. You don't have to ask me about mine. Can you please ring me up? I don't do that because that would hurt them and they don't understand, because I'm from a different era. But that's what Ketu does. Ketu, when he's in a small group of people and people want to chit chat, small talk, he says, we don't need to do that. We don't need to pretend to care. That's okay. We did our job. Congratulations, thank you, and goodbye. So Ketu in the ninth house, his aspect on the ninth house, sorry. So directly opposite Ketu is Rahu. Rahu is the head of the snake, Ketu is the tail. Rahu says, wherever he's at, I have to have this. I have to master this. I can't get enough of it. And he consumes everything that is involved here. So this means Rahu is seeking tremendous spirituality here. Now Rahu is an iconoclast, so Rahu may be saying, let's break the rules. It all depends, again, what the sign is in and all that. But Rahu may say, screw the rules, I just want the truth, get me to the truth. I want it because he wants to consume it, because he thinks it'll give him fulfillment. Ketu is in the back going, hey man, I did that already. I did that last time, and there's nothing to it. Or Ketu is saying, hey Rahu, I need you to focus on the truth here. Stop trying to, eat empty calories. Get to the truth of things. So Ketu is pushing Rahu towards getting rid of all of his delusions and finding the truth. So this means that the communication of Ketu from the third house will always have a deep spiritual impact. He will not communicate unless it has a deep spiritual impact. It doesn't matter if he's a chef and he's talking about how to make a souffle. Whatever it is, when he talks about having the discipline to put the right amount of ingredients and to cook it a certain way, the meaning behind it will be, if you focus on detail, you will find the truth. And through this souffle, we will find the truth. This is where Ketu is going. Now, he's probably not going to talk about that, but just to give you an example. Whatever he is talking about, his ultimate goal is that ninth house. And to bring the truth, or to destroy your illusions about spirituality. He may want to do that as well, because he's been there, he's done that, and he says religion is also an illusion. This is what the message that I bring when I say, listen, there's no such thing as enlightenment, give it up. There's no ceiling where you hit this ultimate enlightenment where all of the struggle goes away and everything is wonderful and everything is cotton candy. It doesn't happen. Ketu has this message as well. So this is why Ketu can be seen as a dark magician or a dark wizard, or for people who have a strong attachment to wanting whatever their illusion is. And if their illusion is religion, when Ketu walks in the room, they will see the devil. Because the devil will be saying, this is all bullshit. You don't realize that? And it will be damaging to your fulfillment of that desire if you find out that desire is nothing. So these are some of the things that can happen with Ketu's communication having to do with the ninth house. And then there's the 11th house. So the 11th house can be foreign lands, travel to foreign lands. It is your network circle, so it's like the internet. If you have strong planets in the 11th house, especially planets like Rahu and Mercury, you're probably going to have some business connections to the internet. The 11th house is the house of gains, meaning the gains that you get from your hard work. Your third house has a strong connection to that because the third house is the effort that you put in. So the third house effort will turn into 11th house gains. Now, what happens? We've got Ketu in the third house who says, hey, man, putting effort into becoming something and having money, and, that's a waste of time. So what does that mean for the 11th house? It means that the 11th house is going to have this influence of, whatever you do work for and earn and work hard for, you're going to go, okay, so I did it, now what? At the same time, again, Ketu brings mastery. So it will bring a sobriety and a mastery to your gains and your mastery of what you do. And either it will destroy it for you, or you could potentially, just lose it all. Like, lose all your gains because Ketu wants to say, hey man, this is nonsense. Or you will have an awareness that this really doesn't do anything for me. But there's this mastery there, because when Ketu, under certain circumstances, can make you a king, can make you the most famous person in the world, can make you the richest person in the world, but because he's Ketu, you will say, but it doesn't mean anything. Something about it will be taken away from you. So, this is your Arudha. Now, as I said before, on paper, when your Arudha is negative, and you can see there's a lot of potential for negative things here. When your Arudha on paper is negative, it always works to your benefit. So in other words, if Ketu in the third house is not your Arudha, then there could be this scenario where whenever you open your mouth, people are just like, I don't know what the hell that guy's talking about, but he freaks me out, or it's so weird, or he's just so deep, or I don't know, there's just something weird about the guy. If it's your Arudha, different story. Whenever you open your mouth, people are like, yeah, man, that's some deep fucking truth right there, dude, man. I don't even know what to do with that. I want to hire this guy. I want to hire this guy and have him be the voice of our movement, or, I want him to teach me, So because it's your Arudha, the things that are negative become positive. Yeah, man, he walks in the room and just when he opens his mouth, he just sucks all the air out of the room with some deep fucking thing, but I can't get enough of it. It's something so amazing about that. This is your business. This will be your career. You will still have to go through all of the challenges associated with it if it's in, because it's in your chart, but when it comes to your career, this is what will define you. Now, if you struggle with this and you've gone through pain and trauma, because every time you open your mouth, people look at you like, what? What black cloud of death is coming at me? What? No, I was just asking where's the restroom? Every time you open your mouth, it's going to have some jarring impact. If this is something that's been traumatic for you and you're trying to be happy all the time and pretend you're part of the crowd, then whenever you walk in the room trying to be that thing that you're not, then people are going to go, I hate that guy. He's such a liar. Why does he pretend to be something he's not? I can't stand him. But if you walk in the room and you say, yeah, man, life is grape juice. And, grape juice turns into wine, and wine turns into vinegar. It's all meaningless, man. Then people are going to go, man, he's just so deep, I can't get enough of him. Let's hire him. Okay? So, I could go on and on because I'm in a Ketu mood these days. And Ketu is, Ketu really is the ultimate power. The two ultimate powers when it comes to what happens to your soul is Rahu and Ketu. Rahu brings you into the world, Ketu takes you out. So, you can't really overemphasize these. And I've worked with both of these shadow planets, and I now have a respect for them. I've tried to, use them to gain stuff, and every time I do, it's like in that war movie where the guy walks over and he's picking up his arm and he's walking around with his severed arm. That's how I feel after trying to placate Rahu and Ketu. So I give them a wide berth, I respect them, and I honor them. So if you're one of these people that has Ketu in the third house as your Arudha Lagna, then you have a tremendous ability and responsibility and a gift. If you're not familiar with what that all means for you, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. We're almost out of May. May's coming to an end here. So I'll say this one last time. If you want to learn my version of astrology, then I want you to go to 241.thunderwizard.com for the month of May. I'm giving half off for both the astrology certification and the rune certification. So go to that website to see what that's all about. If you're interested in learning my style of Vedic astrology, then you can go to astrologycertification.thunderwizard.com and you can learn what I do. I only give readings that give you tools and information that will help you throughout your life. A lot of astrological readings are just for this week or this month. They may have stuff for your whole life, but a lot of times people, ask them to, look at all these superficial, planetary transits and all that kind of stuff because it's entertaining and it's fun. I give you things that will work for you when you're 10 years old or 100 years old, and I will teach you how to give people these kinds of transformational, foundational, lifetime astrological readings if you want to learn from me. That's it for me, my friends. So now we're going to start working with what happens if your Arudha Lagna is in the fourth house, and we'll talk about all the different planets that come into the fourth house as your Arudha Lagna. Okay, talk to you soon.